answers my question.
Yes. The question is as following. Congressman Joe Walsh, according to newspaper reports, has asked Secretary of State to take back the invoked visa of Chief Minister of Gujarat, India, the butcher of thousands of innocent Muslim men, women, and children, including the unborn in 2002, whose cabinet minister is recently convicted and received strict jail sentence. What will be your position on this? Would you fight for the cause of humanity and not let Mr. Narendra Modi get a visa to come to America? Would you fight for justice for those innocent victims in India who lost their loved ones? What would you do for justice, Mr. Mansouri?
So I would tell you that I'm not an expert on this issue, but that I trust our State Department in their decision making. The folks at the State Department don't make a decision on visas or especially in such a high-profile case as this without just cause behind their decision. I would support the State Department's decision. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What is your view on the drone attack policy that America is carrying on in different countries?
Okay, the question is on the drones. So this is probably where we're going to have a disagreement. As a soldier, I think that the drones have been effective. I think that the drones resulted in far fewer collateral damage than if you were actually to send in troops. And so my support is of the drone strikes. I know it's controversial, but having been in situations where the option was to send in gunships, I would rather send in a drone than a gunship.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Duckworth, for coming in to talk to us. The Muslim community is very upset as they did a write-up regarding the comments made by Mr. Joe Walsh. What can we do to make sure that he's a one-time person?
Well, I think that the community needs to look at both candidates and decide who best represents how you live your life, what's important to your families. We're not going to agree on everything, and make that decision based on those criteria. I can only tell you that my first instinct is always going to be to come to the table and work out whatever those differences are. Whether it has to be with, having a united front when America is under attack, or whether it is about healthcare reform and understanding that the Democrats don't have all the answers, and maybe there's some good points on the Republican side, and we have to sit down and figure out what's good about healthcare reform and what's bad about healthcare reform. I'm willing to sit down with business owners. I have a small business conference and a restaurant owners roundtable that have been advising me about their concerns. Whatever the topic is, my instinct is always to be listen first, figure out what the problem is, and find a way to cooperate with one another. You will have to make your own decisions on Mr. Walsh's style of governing. As for what you can do, I've had an Islamic roundtable of advisors for the campaign. Absolutely welcome people to join in, whether it is based on religion or whether it's based on you being a business owner, you want to join my business roundtable, or women, or whatever is most important to you in your life, that the cause that gets you going. Come join us, and we'll talk and reach out to the communities. This district is now 13% Asian and 22% Latino. It is a district that is changing. And let's be honest, that is uncomfortable for the status quo. This part of Illinois was Henry Hyde, Denny Hassard, and Phil Crane's district. This part of Illinois was a largely upper middle class, affluent, and largely white community. And changes in demographics can be uncomfortable for people. But the key is to not demonize any one group. It's to work together and figure out a way to move forward. And so I ask for your help. That's why I'm going to thank you for letting me be here to introduce myself. If you like what I have to say here today, and you want to learn more about me, come to my events. Join one of my advisory councils. We won't always agree. We have lots of quick debates. There are lots of ways you can volunteer. But most importantly of all, get people out to vote. Get people registered and get people out to vote. The young folks are more likely to vote than older generations, but you got to get the less politically active members of your community. You need to get them out to vote, because until that happens, you don't have a stronger voice in the decisions of this country as you would if people realize, hey, we're here, we're part of the population, and you better listen to us.
We have a question from this gentleman.
If elected to Congress, what will you do to help Palestinian refugees, and would you support the creation of a Palestinian state?
So what I support is a two-state solution. I think here this is the choice is very clear between Mr. Walsh and myself. I think that there is a humanitarian crisis going on with Palestinian refugees, but you should know I am a very strong supporter of Israel. This is why I've been endorsed by J Street. I don't think that Mr. Walsh's solution, which is to expel Palestinians from Israel, is the solution. And also, for those who do remain in Israel and are Israeli citizens, they get a reduced voting share. So now they're second-class citizens. That's absolutely not acceptable. My policy, my stand, is to support what the people who have to live that reality says is in their best interest. It's not my job, and it is certainly not my place as an American politician to go over to the Middle East, to go over and tell Israelis what is best for their country, and to go over and tell Palestinians what is best for them. They have to negotiate and work out what that situation is, and we have to encourage that. And whatever that solution is, whatever that agreement is, then we need to support it. I would no more want to go over to Palestine or to Israel and tell people how to conduct their government than I would want a member of the Israeli Knesset coming here and telling me how to run my country. It's about respecting your allies, standing by them, but also understanding that this is a solution to be worked out there. And then supporting the solution that leads to peace. And I've always said, the issue that is happening there is that sometimes the best security is peace. And that's, after all, what we want.
Yes.
Tammy, picking up on that issue, we live in a very interdependent world today. I will take you back to 1953 or 1956, I don't remember exact year. There was an elected government of Iraq, which was overthrown by CIA. And history is very interesting that there ensued a 40 years of very repressive regime of Shah. And then the end result was the deep animosity with America and the Iranian people that exists until this day. It was dictated by the oil interests of that time. And what I'm seeing today again is some people again voicing the support of the repressive regime that were just gone overthrown, such as Hosni Mubarak, such as the people of Tunisia, saying that America is not getting what America needs. What America needs is to support the overthrow of repression, whether it's over here in home or whether it's abroad. Because Islamic world today, 1.6 billion people are a rising people. They have had their 600 years of very troubled past, but make no mistake, I as an American citizen, I as a patriotic American, want to plead with all the politicians that they need to wake up and realize that they need good relationship with 56 nations of the Muslim world. It's one third of the humanity, or 25% of the humanity. And why is it that it's not in American interest to support people's freedom and not the dictatorships that I'm beginning to hear again? I would like to know your views on that. Would you study the subject? Would you devote yourself to that subject? Because today, we need those countries also as much as they need America to economically, in every way. Thank you.
Not a problem. You know, your question spans many, many decades of American foreign policy and many, many decades of different American administrations. I can't speak for what happened in the 50s. I can only tell you what I would support and where I will be. You know, I served in Iraq, but I felt that the invasion of Iraq was absolutely wrong. I was appalled when it happened. But as a soldier, one of the great strengths of this country is that the military is subservient to the people. And the Supreme Court said that President Bush was my lawfully, legally elected president. And the United States Congress voted to support the invasion. And so as a soldier, I went. I felt it was wrong. I thought it was American stepping over the bounds. It had nothing to do with 9/11 or Al-Qaeda. We, if anything, brought Al-Qaeda to Iraq by our very actions. And that was not helpful.
Well said.
And so my philosophy is always going to be, whatever the decision is, we're going to have an honest discussion, and I'm going to make sure that we have that discussion. Because I think what happened with the invasion of Iraq, and with the saber rattling that's happening about Iran right now, is that with Iraq, I think a lot of well-meaning politicians had their patriotism questioned and were held hostage by the discussion, by the rush. And I want to be there. I want to be there the next time we have this discussion, because I will stand on these legs on the floor of Congress and demand that we have a real discussion on, is this truly in the United States' best interest? Is it truly in keeping with the values of this nation? And really, what is the true cost? Because if those reasons are right, and we've had a good discussion, we can really make a good informed decision. You know, I watching the Republican presidential primaries, when every single one of those candidates called for an invasion of Iran, was shocking to me. We're still at war in Afghanistan 11 years later. At the time, our troops hadn't all come home yet, and we're talking about invading yet another country. Look, it's families like mine that bleed when we choose to go to war. It's families like mine. My husband is serving, I'm serving, my brother was in the Coast Guard, my dad served in 3 wars. It's my family that bleeds. And if we're going to go to war, it better be for the right reason. It better be to protect America, our values, our citizens. And it better not be because it's a good political slogan for a presidential campaign. It better not be for an oil company. It better not be for special interests.
Great.
And so that is all I can promise you, that if I am there, that I will force that discussion to happen. And I dare them to question my patriotism.
Thank you.
I just wanted to stand here as a Christian and as a former veteran of the Marine Corps and appreciate and respect everyone's bringing this event to bear. I've never been in a mosque in my whole life, so I feel very welcome and I'm happy for this. This is the type of fellowship that we all should have, despite all the ignorance and all these hate crimes that are happening in our local area. But my question for you is, I stand here as a Christian and a veteran, but I also support Syria. And I wanted to know what your viewpoint is and how we could help. I don't personally support boots on the ground, but I know we could do more than talk. And it's been a big parade in the UN, and I just would love to hear what your viewpoint is on it from your heart. How you feel for the Syrian people. It started peacefully. It's all, obviously evolved, but I would love to hear your viewpoint on this.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a time that we need the former King Hussein of Jordan, who passed away about 10 years ago, any more than we do now, because he was a man of great insight. I was actually working on my master's in international affairs when he succumbed to his illness, and so many of us in the field were just so incredibly deeply saddened. But there was a great diplomat who would probably help us shepherd through. I mean, his son is doing a fantastic job, but Jordan is a country with limited resources and really is under great strain trying to protect and